Hi guys, I hope everyone's doing fine. Today we are doing a very interesting live with Simrun. She is a celebrity nutritionist and we are starting our series of lockdown brides. So in this series we are going to talk about all the skincare issues and what the brides should be planning and what they should be doing to take care of their skin at home. So there are various brides. Some brides are getting married in November, some brides are getting married in December, and so on and so forth. So I always tell my brides that it's very important to plan for their skin, like how they plan for their wedding dress or how they plan for their jewelry, because your skin is your very personal biggest organ which is going to reflect your inner health for a very long time. And before you address anything, like before you're gonna dress it up with all the makeup on your D-Day, it's very important to address any skincare issues. Now these skincare issues can be like acne, these skincare issues can be acne scars, they can be pigmentation, which require more and more time. So you need to visit your dermatologist way ahead in time if you're a bride who has all these skincare issues. So there are two sets of brides. Let's say there are one kind of brides who don't have many skincare issues, who have a good skin and they just need some brightening up, some hydration, some glow. And there are one kind of brides who have certain issues like acne marks or pigmentation. So it's very important, if you fall into the category of a bride who needs a lot of work, you need to visit your dermatologist little before, because your skin needs more resurfacing and we need to work for way more deeper inside the skin than just on the surface. So that is a very important thing. And if you're planning to get any injectables done for your skin, then also it's very important to visit your doctor well in advance, so that you understand that what is it that you want to work upon. Do you just want to get a little bit of lines removed? Do you want to work on your lips? Do you want to work on the jawline? Because then the doctor will work on your skin and your features slowly and steadily. And only if the doctors work slowly and steadily, the results will show nicer, and that plastic look that certain people get due to over injection can be then definitely removed. So today we are kicking off our series talking about all the lockdown brides, how and what they should be doing when it comes to nutrition. We're going to break it down into a countdown pattern so that we can talk about what they need to do in terms of detoxifying, what they need to do for their glowing skin, and what is it that is available. I'm just gonna tag this live over here so that people who are coming in know what we're talking about. Lockdown brides. Yeah, so I have a question here from Melissa. Melissa is asking about me multivitamins for 22-year-old. So Melissa, it's very important to get your blood check done before you start gulping down all the multivitamins. So multivitamins fall in two categories. They are fat soluble and they are water soluble. So water soluble vitamins are like vitamin C, which you can have empty number of vitamin C, because no matter how much of vitamin C you will have, it will be good for you, and if you're having excessive, it will get drained out of your body. So if you're having fat soluble vitamins like vitamin E or vitamin D, it's very important to know what are the levels. So run a blood check, your CBC, D3, B12, to understand, are you deficient in something, and if you are, then you supplement accordingly. So that's what is important. Some of very good general vitamins available in the market are GNC Mega Women, which I have been writing to a lot of my patients, and there is A to Z, which is also very easily available. So you can pick any of those if your vitamins are still falling in the right levels and still you need a little bit of boosting up. You can all try that. And then I'm going to take some questions before Simran joins us. You can keep sending me your questions. Ma'am, any supplement or food you recommend? So supplements, I've just mentioned which one I'm suggesting, but depending if you're deficient, then you need higher dose. So for example, if you're vitamin D deficient, you would need a higher dose of vitamin D. And vitamin D is not only good for your bones, it's also good for your immunity, it's also good for your hair. So don't ignore any vitamin deficiency. best vitamin C to apply. So Siddhi, there are a lot of vitamin C available in the market, so I will suggest you some which are easily available at a chemist shop. There's Derma C with serum, which is really good. Then there is Clinical Genic C serum, which I've been using personally. I simply love the texture, it's very watery. There's the FCL vitamin C scape serum. There's also a vitamin C serum booster from Clinique, which is also really good, so you can try any of those. So Skinny wants to know about some remedy for premature graying hair. So in fact, Skinny, what you can do is you can look up a webinar that I did especially on premature hair graying, which I'm talking all about the reasons for hair graying and what you can do, because it is generally related to micro deficiencies of certain minerals, or you can get your blood check done. It can also be due to iron deficiency, and stress is one of the major reasons. And there are certain definitely hacks that I've spoken about in my webinar, so please do look at that webinar. It has a lot of information about it. Nuts are not good for acne. So that's a very generic statement, because nuts there are lots of different kinds of nuts, but they are full of fats. So it depends on what quantity are you having. Many times people are allergic to having nuts, and when they have nuts they get acne. So sorry, I keep getting calls in the middle. So let me see if Simran is here. Simran is here to join us, and we are waiting for a very informative session. Super excited to have her on board. Hi, Simran.
Hi, can you see me?
Yes, I can. Can you?
I can see you, I can't see myself. A lot of
Okay.
people are saying the video is paused. For me also, it is pausing quite a bit for you.
Now I feel it's
So,
fine. Got a call in the middle. Should be
okay.
okay.
So I can't see myself. I have a blank screen.
Can I get a thumbs up from everyone if they can see Simran and me, and if they can hear us properly so that we can start? Simran, do you want to check your screen? I think everyone's sending me a thumbs up here.
Yeah, so I can't see myself. I don't know what it is. My only option is to leave and join. That's okay.
Do you want to do that? I'll take some questions meanwhile.
Cool. Give me a second. 1 second.
So while Simran is joining back, I'll take some questions over here. How many months before brides should start taking nutrients? So it's not enough. You don't have to count the months before you start taking nutritional supplements. If you are definitely deficient in something, you can start right away. But earlier you start, better it is. There's also glutathione supplementation, which is very, very popular amongst brides, because it's a powerful antioxidant and definitely gives you a beautiful glow and radiance to the skin. So you can also start that. You need to take it at least 1000 international units every day together with vitamin C for at least 3 months regularly to see good results. So that is a special supplement for brides to be. And then any suggestions for pigmentation? So Shivi, when it comes to pigmentation, I always talk about prevention is better than cure. Make sure your sunblock remains your best friend. Like even now when I'm seeing my patients in the clinic, they tell me, oh, I've not been using a sunblock because I've been sitting at home. But you have to use a sunblock even if you're at home, because all the visible and non-visible light, the rays, are definitely causing the damage. So even if you're inside your house, you have to use a sunblock, and you have to repeat it every 2 to 3 hours, because that is one thing that can prevent pigmentation from happening. But if you're getting a lot of pigmentation spots, start using a good vitamin C serum. You can meet your dermatologist to understand if you need a good depigmenting agent, which can involve some arbutin, licorice, kojic acid. These are some of the actives that would be given to you, and they're really good in removing the early signs of pigmentation. So seborrheic dermatitis. So Pihu, if you have seborrheic dermatitis, you definitely need to get it treated well. Start using a good shampoo, which can be a good anti-dandruff shampoo, depending how bad it is. And then for your face, also start using salicylic acid-based face wash to remove the seborrheic dermatitis. And if it doesn't resolve, then you need to see your doctor to understand that if you need to apply any ointments. So tech neck, of course, Justine, that's one of the major things I'm seeing these days. I'm like in my clinic, in my experience, I'm seeing more and more patients these days who have under eye issues and neck issues. So tech neck is nothing but, due to overbending of your neck, you're getting these necklace lines more and more. So it's important to first prevent it by avoiding to, bend down, keep your phone a little up and avoid digital exposure as much as possible, and try and do some exercises for your neck and for your double chin regularly. You can check my video on face yoga. And if you have those necklace lines, there are treatments available. My favorite one is Althera, which is using ultrasound energy. It is the only US FDA approved treatment when it comes to treating the necklace lines. It uses ultrasound energy, which gives heat based energy to your collagen fiber to tighten it up. So that's one. Then there is Exilis, which uses radio frequency energy to tighten this. There are also treatments like Botox or sometimes even fillers done for the tech lines, but I don't generally suggest it because they are really, off-label indication. But Althera works beautifully for the tech neck. And I'm just gonna check if Simran is back with us. Yes, there she is. Anjali wants to know about under eye spelling, and we have questions about psoriasis, questions about blackness around the dermatitis, which I just addressed. And I'm just waiting for Simran to join us so that we can start the topic for today. So Nikita wants to know about lip lightening. So Nikita, we have just launched a treatment in my clinic called Lip Light. Hi Simran, now can you see yourself?
It's frozen. Don't worry about it. I don't know what the issue is. So it's okay as long as you can see me.
Yes, I can see you and you're looking lovely. So let's start.
Thank you. So are you. I was listening to your answers. They're lovely. So
Thank,
informative.
thank. So guys, there is Simran with us. A short introduction for all my.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you give a short introduction about yourself to all my viewers?
Yeah, hi. My name is Simran. I'm a nutrition and fitness coach. I've been doing this for a while, and my ethos is slightly different from everything else that you usually see because I'm all about not giving up on things that you like, but understanding moderation and like kind of putting it into your life rather than torturing or restricting yourself or resorting to something that might cause worse health, basically, and to name a few issues that can arise. That's basically about me. I work with women now. I write a lot about nutrition. I write a lot about fitness. Anyone can DM me and write to me anytime, and I run these programs which cater to Indian women across the globe to provide them like a value solution rather than going to YouTube and doing something absolutely random to go to a specific place to get value.
Amazing. So that's a very good combination that you're talking about nutrition and fitness together. Really people are, tackling nutrition on the side and fitness on the other side. So if it's a good, better, I feel.
I feel actually when it comes to any of this, people usually like even with bridal, people only look at the diet or they're only exercising, but eventually you have to look at everything. And you know as a doctor, but because if your mind is not sorted, nothing else works. So we also work on like little bit of habits and self-compassion and how to be nice to yourself. So I have these little habits that are strewn in through the program that you can practice on your own. Because I really feel that if you're looking at health and if you're looking at something long term, and even as a solution for any of these problems long term, it has to be more holistic and bring in a number of things. It can't be like one thing. It can't be like you drink this one juice and then you have immunity and all your skin is clear. That doesn't work. So it should be kind of all rounded and holistic.
Wonderful. I'm getting a lot of questions here that my voice is clear. I'm just going to. Yeah. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you much better now.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, Simran. So today, how we're talking about the topic lockdown brides, because lockdown brides have a lot of things to tackle. They have to plan for their skin, they have to plan for their wedding lehenga, their jewelry, everything. And on top of that, there is stress for, how, I hope everything goes well, everyone's safe. So we have to help out our lockdown brides through this live today. And what I've decided is that we will, split up the section into three different categories, like 3 months to the D-Day, 2 months to the D-Day, 1 month to the D-Day.
Yeah,
And then let's
yeah,
share
sounds good.
tips with them that what they can do and how easy it can be for their weight loss, for their skin journey. Let's make it easy for them. So Simran, three
Awesome.
months to the D-Day, what do you suggest?
I think the first thing I suggest is don't go on a diet. What usually happens is people go on these extreme diets and they start extreme protocols, which you can't hold out for 3 months, right? And then what
Mm-hmm.
happens is that you're so strict with yourself, and then right after they get married, suddenly you see all the weight comes back on. People tell you, after I got married, I put on weight. That's because you were on this really tough diet before, which you shouldn't have done. And
Mm-hmm.
I've seen most of the time it kind of it worsens your cycles. It can cause a lot of issues, multiple. So 3 months before, I would say first go, if you're looking at weight loss and health, go to your gynecologist, see if you have any issues. If you have, undiagnosed PCOS, thyroid, then decide and start a plan that works towards your goals, but is not
Mm-hmm.
so extreme that it compromises health, you
Very
know.
well.
And then, yeah, so what I see most of the time is people go on these really extreme plans. So I
Mm-hmm.
have a bridal program as well. And what I try to do is, let's say 3 months before, we figure out, okay, what is your goal? What do you want to get to? How much time do you have? And how much can you realistically do? Okay, and then
Mm-hmm.
let's work on that so you don't get even more stressed out. Even if it's like, I would say start putting in 30 minutes of exercise a day. So I have a lot of exercises on my posts for beginners. Just put in 30 minutes of exercise, get in some steps. Then obviously, then work on starting to eat better and figuring out what works for you. And you will also know this, right? Because those two are connected with skin and hair as well. Um,
Absolutely. Mm.
yeah, so I think it's about changing that, and the experiments can be done in the first 3 months. So just create a routine, you know your goal for 3 months, and it's okay to be slightly aggressive, but maybe not too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
30 minutes of exercise.
you've actually said the very right thing. I meet brides that just, they're doing everything possible before their D-Day, and once they're married, they just let themselves loose and they blame it on their family functions, their first
Yeah,
dinners, that, oh, we were
yeah,
overfed. But that was actually you holding back and craving, and then when you are
yeah,
just let go, you just let go yourself. So these things
yeah,
have to be inbuilt. You have to build them in your
yeah.
DNA, good lifestyle, good skincare. So similarly, 3 months before your wedding, if you're looking at rebooting your skin, you need to get your blood check done. As Simran suggested, it's very important. We need to know if you're deficient in something, if you have PCOD, if you have thyroid, because these things affect your metabolism, your weight loss, your skin, your hair, everything. So your blood check is your basic. And then 3 months before, I would want you to start building up a relationship with your dermatologist. So if you've never had one, go to one, get your skin analyzed, get a good skin regime, because you have to now be disciplined. Learn to remove the makeup before you sleep. So start building in that discipline. And then thirdly, you need to understand if you're a bride with certain skin issues like acne scars, pigmentation, or acne, this is the time your doctor has some time on hand to start working on it. And if not, your doctor can actually tell you that we don't have enough time. These scars are really stubborn. So we just put in some filler to rebuild them. So this is the
Yeah.
time you need to actually understand, visit, because if you don't go well in time to your doctor will also have not so many options to do for you. Like even for laser hair reduction, if you go like 3 months in advance, at least you will be able to squeeze in 3 sittings, which will actually give a good hair loss. Not the complete hair loss, but it will actually give you a good hair loss. So 3 months is a good time to
So
get yourself analyzed and be disciplined.
I think what is key there is that even when you come to someone like me, if you want me for weight loss, you're coming for any of the things that you want, that time, I have a lot of people who come to me 1 month before or 1 week before and say, I need to lose 10 kilos. It's not humanly possible. You can't
Yeah.
put yourself through it. And I think one of the main things I see is when you start this, like Itika said, you must go to a professional. And what I see a lot is that, I have been trying this mask and this juice and I bought this and my friend did this. The thing is that the reason to go to a professional, especially when it comes to a dermatologist. If you have a skin issue, I've seen people, I'm doing these home remedies and I find these are the most destructive because they're not just so generalized, but if you have, let's say, a skin issue or if you have PCOS, no amount of putting something on your face is going to get rid of that acne. You can keep putting dye
Exactly.
for the rest of your life. But,
It will.
if your sebum production is off, androgens, all your hormones are off, it's not going to work. And you
Yeah,
can aggravate it, right? You can make
absolutely.
things worse.
You're saying a
Yeah, let
very
me
right
just.
thing because yesterday only I was in the clinic and there was a patient. She was telling me all her history that I'm doing everything to the T doctor, what you have suggested me, but I'm getting a rash on my skin and her skin was red and angry. And I wasn't able to diagnose that what's going wrong because for me, I had given her the best. But then slowly
Yeah,
she told me that she's been trying all the DIYs at home. So there it
yeah,
was. So when you are combining without the knowledge, you're over
yeah,
exfoliating your skin, you're causing more damage. So don't become your
yeah,
own doctor. Listen to the advice,
yeah.
stick to the plan, get discipline. So that is
Because
the
I think a
3 month
lot.
advance.
Yeah, I think a lot of times we think that, I can just do this. I'll just eat less. I'll do this cabbage diet. And then people don't like keto as well. I would recommend not doing any of this because I have
Yeah,
someone whose thyroid has got aggravated, people who've had their gallbladders removed because of the crazy diets that they've done. So there is long-term repercussions. And while these are things that anyone and everyone talks about, like if you see when I talk about skin and hair, it's only about nutrition because
yeah,
I don't have the expertise that you have, and that's your core competency, and that is not my space, right? So
absolutely.
I should not go outside my scope of practice.
Very well.
So for example, I will never tell, like people ask us, what should I do for my skin? We'll say, see a dermatologist, maybe you can use like a cream or maybe don't use. The first thing we say is please don't use any of these do it your way. The best thing
Absolutely.
is just go to a doctor. If you want to know what I use, I'll tell you, but it's so generic, right?
It's
You
very
can't
generic.
take that. And I think just remembering that you have to understand a person's scope of practice and go to that, especially if you're time bound and there's a date. You don't want a crazy breakout or a really bad, you don't want something terrible to happen
Absolutely.
just before,
So,
you
Simran, I
know.
have a question for you here. This is one of the most talked about topics these days, and you were talking about keto. So, what are your views on intermittent fasting?
So it comes down to exactly the same thing that eventually it should be something that you can do for life, right? If it is a practice that you can't, especially if you're trying intermittent, it was never built to be just a weight loss tool. People use it for weight loss because what do? You just remove breakfast, right? You've removed your breakfast and morning snacks. So you've removed a bunch of calories and now you're in a calorie deficit,
Yeah.
right? So that is not the actual way that intermittent fasting is done. What happens then is what happens when you start eating those calories again later?
Hmm.
You pile them back on.
Yeah.
The issue with most of these things is they don't teach you how to rectify something in the long run. So for example, putting a mask all the time might not teach the person that the actual, a skin regime that they should have followed, what is right for their skin and not. So these are like continuously putting band-aids on a wound that you can't heal. So
Yes.
it's more important to figure out what is going wrong and why do I need to do this and how can I change it in my lifestyle. So which is why I don't recommend any of them unless they're medically required. So like keto is required for people with seizures, and
Hmm.
epileptic fits and
Hmm.
kids who, it works very well with kids who have mental issues, seizures and fits, but it doesn't mean that it's meant for you and me.
Yeah. So
It comes
it's very
back to the
different for
whole thing
anyone
about
and
going
everyone.
to a professional and figuring out what is right for you and your body, or
Yes.
at least sticking to something that you can do for life. Because if you can do that and you can stick to your normal food and you can stick to that, you are fine. You know you're doing it right. The moment you have all these fancy things coming in and you're importing food to eat and all, there's going to be a problem.
Absolutely. So now coming to the second part, which is like just before 2 months of the wedding. So what is the time that you suggest for people who enroll for this bridal reboot system with you?
So what I do is, I like, let's say 3 months. The beginning, you have to understand that is like for everything, you're just starting out, right? So you're taking it slow, you start your workouts, you realign your goals. And if you're doing it on your own as well, let's say you're doing
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes a day for
Mm-hmm.
month 3, right? Now you've
Mm-hmm.
got used to it. You've never done exercise before. And you just do 30 minutes of, let's say, walking. Then in month
Mm-hmm.
2, that 30 minutes has become easy. So what we call progressive overload. You change it just slightly, maybe do 40 minutes or 50 minutes if you can, because you have a very small deadline when it's a bride.
Yeah.
right? You're okay to be slightly aggressive and you have the time because everybody's giving you the time. It's very different when you're a mother or you're working. Nobody's like, listen, you don't have this much time. But when you're a bride, everybody's like, yeah, please do it. So you can
Yeah, yeah.
progressively overload where you kind of put in some more time and more intensity so that you create a larger calorie deficit. So it helps you lose while not compromising on food at all. I would suggest like if in month one you're looking at making your diet slightly better, by month two, like remove all the deep fried, just remove more, like reduce your amount of dessert consumption, like the simple things that you can do, reduce the amount of oil. You don't have to make crazy drastic changes on your own because I don't want someone to on their own suddenly stop eating carbs. Terrible,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. You
You have
need
to work with the
carbs.
professional.
They are
Yeah.
generating energy for you, so you need it, definitely. But the
But
right
they've
way
been
to do it.
demonized. They're like, it's as if they've come out from hell. They've been demonized like crazy, in this
Oh,
in
no,
these few
the
years. But
carbs are
anyway, so
very.
the idea is you can make it slightly more intensive and then you can move into a diet that is slightly more aggressive. And here I think would be a very good place to even start understanding what works for you and what doesn't. So if you have a dermatologist on the side and you're saying that if she's telling you your acne it's going on coming back, you obviously have an aggravator. Something is causing inflammation, something doesn't suit you, there's a food. So what we do is we run an elimination protocol where we try to figure out what is causing what. When you eat
Yeah.
this, does this happen? So in
Yeah.
most cases, like if you're not with one of us, and in most cases, the majority is, let's say, milk and gluten. It seems like they're the most common, but there could be something as simple as brinjal. I've
Yes.
had people who've reacted. So it's a good time to, if you're working with either with us or someone else, is to understand what is causing these issues and see if you can
Absolutely.
get these people to work together and figure it out.
Yeah.
And then you
Like
become
even to
slightly
that,
more personal.
I always definitely suggest my brides to be and my patients to maintain a food diary, because that food diary
Yeah.
helps them understand, or self-analyze and analyze that what is suiting them or not. It can be as
Yeah.
simple as your nuts. It can be simple as your
Yeah.
milk or dairy products. All of these things are well known. So maintain a food diary, because when you see it for yourself, that's when you will be more convinced to avoid it in your diet.
So
So two
this
months
would be the
before the
best.
wedding, that is one thing. Food diary.
Yeah, so the good idea is to use the food diary to even write down, like for example, today I'm really bloated, okay? Or in the morning, write down I had a breakout, and write these little things down, or even something as simple as I had a really bad headache. Okay, I went to the loo too much, or I couldn't go to the loo, whatever.
Yeah.
Once you put these things down, you can go back and self-analyze and see that, okay, it seems like every time I eat, let's say Chinese, this happens to me. So I
Yeah.
had someone
Yeah.
who every time was eating Chinese from outside, she had headaches. Then we
Yeah.
realized it wasn't the Chinese because when she ate it from home, she was fine. But because she had a food
Absolutely.
diary, we figured it was the MSG from the
Yes.
restaurants.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
So using that tool, and it's really good to do it in the second month because the first month you're still trying to get into stuff. So when you fall into a routine, in the second month you can go a little more in depth and see what works for your skin, what works for your hair. And I think at this point, I would say to really start focusing on your vegetables, fruits, and proteins in every meal
So
because
how
it
much
eventually
fruit do
comes
you
down
think is enough for one to consume in a day? Like people, some in Ayurveda they say five color fruits. Some people say have your one fruit properly. Some say don't have fruits because it
to.
has fruit sugar. What is your take on that?
I would say, I always say eat local, one,
Mm-hmm.
okay, eat seasonal. These are the main things to consider when you're eating fruits or vegetables. And then even if you eat, let's say your snacks are fruit, two portions is fine. Two small portions, eat them, but don't juice them because then you lose all the fiber and that's when it's difficult for the body to digest that sugar because you've removed all the soluble fiber, right? Um, so the idea is you eat it and try to, what the thing with variety is that you try to spread it out through the week. You might not be able to do five fruits a day. You might not be able to afford five fruits a day.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
assume everyone can get it. There might be someone else that's from I'm in a place and I can't even get it. Even with fruits or vegetables, the idea is to get variety through the week so that think of them as your superfoods. If there's anything that can detox you, it is these regular foods that are filled with vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients, right? They're great for your skin, great for your hair, great for your body, great for your gut. It is great for you. And the more
Absolutely.
variety you get is brilliant because
Absolutely.
what I see the most is that Indians are mostly vegetarian. And I say that because eating non-veg once a week is really not considered non-vegetarian. And because of that,
Mm-hmm.
that protein intake is also very low. It's a carb dominant diet and this doesn't help you either lose weight or with your health or with your skin or hair, because you need sufficient proteins, and there's enough vegetarian real food that you can eat. You don't
So
need
what are
a
the
supplement.
top three sources of vegetarian protein sources that you would say?
So I mean, the regular in your kitchen right now would be your lentils, legumes, your dal, chana, all that. Your any of your dairy products, or your curd, or your paneer. So these, between these, you can add them in nearly any meal. After that,
And
there are many others, like if you want to buy tofu, yogurt, and but if you're buying quinoa, but then it's not easily accessible. But right now, in your kitchen, you just add like a dal or a chana, chola, rajma, any of these to your meal, add a
and
curd
if
to your
someone is
meal.
really heavily working out and they want to have a better supplement like a protein powder, which one would you suggest?
So there are many, and I think again, this comes down to, I would suggest whichever one you buy. My only thing is to buy it from the company itself. Because a lot of times from resellers, and if you're buying it from an online store, they can be fake, and then that's an issue, right? So
Yeah.
whatever it is, buy it from the company first, whichever company you're going with, and buy a small portion. So usually they have the smallest portion, because some people who are lactose intolerant, they get a breakout. Then they need like a vegan, like a pea protein. So it's best. So it's best to try, I think, a small amount, and this should be done in your month 3 or month 2. Don't try
Yeah,
anything new in your last month just before your
absolutely.
wedding. Yeah,
So
yeah.
very
So
well. So coming to that, yeah, proteins are fine. Choose them small, don't overdo them, and again, maintain your diary to see what is it, and go local, eat what's there in your kitchen. And I have some questions here which have been repeatedly asked. That does weight loss affect skin and face laser they want to talk about. So yeah, I always see my patients who are doing aggressive workout, and while you're working out, you're also working out your muscles. You're always having that, different expressions while you're lifting weights. So that's a workout of the muscle going on. And then there is collagen, which is also kind of a protein. And then there is protein, which is important for your muscle, and your face muscles also need it. So that's where protein supplementation is very important, which Simran has just emphasized. Because if you're taking protein well in your diet while you're working out during your weight loss journey, your muscles will be tighter until unless they become, like a deflated balloon. So if you were very fat and you lose all that fat, your tummy will become like a deflated balloon. All the saggy skin will be left behind. And that's where patients come to me that what do we do now? So it's a better idea always when you're in the weight loss journey to do it constantly, easily, have your protein in place, and visit your dermatologist on the side because we will help you give a nice shape to your body. We have treatments which give contouring to the body while you're doing the weight loss so that you don't have those saggy folds afterwards. So, just 2 months before the wedding, I would want my brides to start understanding their skin better. They can start getting their glow drips. They can start working on their under eye area because that is what is actually very important these days with all the digital exposure. I'm seeing people with dark under eye circles, with baggy eyes. We have a treatment called eye light, which works for the under eye pigmentation and the over eyelid pigmentation too. Start using your under eye creams diligently morning and at night. And if you have both a dark circle and a puffy eye, then you need two under eye creams, in fact, or maybe there would be a good under eye cream which will have it all together. And they all go from in and out. They are very important because when you wake up in the morning, you want your eyes to be fresh. And then third of all is your hair fall. I'm seeing a lot of brides with hair fall issues these days. Understanding your blood routine, this is a good time that you can start working on your protein intake, on your collagen. You can start understanding about PRP, which is a beautiful treatment for hair loss. So invest in your time properly for the major issues and that you can actually reap benefits on your D-Day. So going
I
to
think for
one,
the other
yeah,
one, for hair loss, that we see a lot is that because people don't eat enough, one is protein, and then you
yeah,
don't eat enough vegetables and fruits, they're just nutrient deficient. So nearly everyone I'm
absolutely.
seeing, and like, okay, you might be vitamin D deficient because you don't go out as much, and now you're stuck at home. So that's something to check like immediately, because I think people fear supplements. A lot of people say, I'm B12 deficient, but I don't want to take a supplement, or they don't want to take an omega-3, and they don't eat any fish, nothing. So I think it's important to understand that if you have a vitamin deficiency, or if your diet is off and it's not very diverse and nutrient dense, you might need a vitamin supplement. And this
Absolutely.
is just like replenishing the body, and that is all it is. Because you can do, if you are deficient, let's say in zinc, in B12, omega-3, these are the most common right now that I am seeing, vitamin D.
Yeah.
There's hardly any vitamin E in anyone's food because people aren't conscious about what they're eating. So let's say on my program, I force people to send us a picture of everything they eat every day.
Yeah.
You know, and we'd be like, you're eating the same vegetable, or you don't have enough vegetables. You add more vegetables. Why does this meal not have a protein? Just add a curd to it. You know, we're constantly doing this because of nutrient density. And if you have excessive hair fall and if you've gone to dermatologist, speak to them also about, let's say, a vitamin supplement if you're not getting it from your diet, you know.
Yeah.
And there's no harm in taking these because if you need it, you need it. So I have people telling me, no, they are so deficient in vitamin D and B12, and they're like, no, I don't want to take a supplement. The doctor told me to, but I don't want to. But these are essential to body functions.
These are essentials. There are no shortcuts to it. And like
there
that,
are no
Simran,
shortcuts.
like in my clinic, we also have drips to that. So when you take a supplement orally, it gets only like 30% absorbed in your body because it has to go through all the digestive juices and stuff. But when you take a IV drip, it gets 100% absorbed in your bloodstream. And at Isaac, we do drips from Revive, which is an international brand. So especially for the brides, because they are always on the go, and you know, with COVID in the air, there's always that fear of getting infected. We have these drips which have potent doses of vitamin C, and there is glutathione, microminerals, which help you bring out the glow from inside. So it's always good to have your supplements, and if you don't have time, use these drips as, you know, your go-to juice bars, because they are just 100% vitamins, supplements going inside your bloodstream right there.
The only thing I would say is that maybe some of them, they should, probably when you meet your gynecologist, like I said, right in the beginning or whenever, whichever doctor, and you do your blood work, like you said, you can check whether you need them. Because a lot of time, some of these vitamins, the main thing, like going back right to the beginning, is the do it yourself. Don't do it yourself without someone else, a professional, recommending it to you, because some of them, overdoing it can cause toxicity, right? So I think that is the
So
main
those are
thing.
the fat-soluble vitamins. In fact,
Self-medicating.
yeah.
Self-medicating, even trying these random supplements. You know,
So these are the
especially one of the
fat-soluble
ones
vitamins
before.
that you need to be careful about. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also trying these, and right now you see so many brands coming up with so many supplements, right? Better hair, better skin, have this, have that. I think it's very important to be careful of these because you don't know what they are in them, what's in them, and how
Absolutely.
it's going to react with you. And
Absolutely.
and especially right now, even if you're trying to be a bride, you don't want to break out. But otherwise, also right now, you don't want to land up with some other infection or some other illness and land up in the hospital because you just don't want to. So I think any kind of supplements, because I think don't you see this like randomly? I bought this off Amazon. I saw someone eat this, and
So whatever you're
I
doing,
think
you do this under
I'm like, what is
supervision of a
this?
doctor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I see
Yeah,
that
because
all
you
the
don't know
time.
what to do. Yeah, so just because somebody says that, oh, you know, this is the best supplement for better hair, it might not be for
Absolutely.
you. So it's always best to check with someone. Just this whole do-it-yourself and self-medicating is something to be careful of. Yeah.
Yeah. So Simran, now let's come to the brides who are getting married within a month's time. I'm sure they are running around taking care of their emotions and all the last do's and don'ts. So what do you suggest for them when it comes to nutrition and for the fitness?
So I would say at this point, your fitness will have to go up a little bit more. You start becoming slightly more aggressive, and now you can slightly, just because it's only 1 month, you can become slightly more aggressive with your diet and what
Mm-hmm.
you eat to make sure that you're burning enough to reach your goal. But I think one of the main things now would be not to try anything new. So whatever workouts you're doing. So even I do this on my programs. We intensify the same thing. Don't try anything new. Don't go try doing some new form of exercise, handstand, etc. You don't want to get injured. Yeah, because an injury will take very long to heal, and that's not something you want, right? Don't try any new supplements. Don't buy a new whey or whatever. Like, just don't try anything new because you don't know how it's going to react with you, and you don't have enough time if you're a bride, right? This is the time to actually instead focus on the fruits, vegetables, proteins you're already doing. Make sure there's a probiotic every single day in your food, even if it's just eating curd and drinking buttermilk. If that's all you're doing, that's fine. And then ensuring you get enough rest and recovery. Because I think what happens is that people don't do that. You're watching TV at night, and now most of the time we are so absorbed with other things. But especially as a bride, none of this will work unless you have enough time to rest and recover and regenerate. Be it your skin, be it your hair, be it your muscles, you should get in that about 7 to 8 hours of sleep, I think.
Absolutely.
At least
Yeah.
start 1 month, and at this point, focus a lot of hydration. You know, that last month so you're bringing a lot of things together. So in month 3, you start with a little bit, and then 2 you do a little bit more, and 3 now you're okay to become more aggressive, because 3 and 2 have become easy. So month 1 you can be really aggressive, and then you have to
Yeah.
build on it. That is why you have to do it from 3 months before. You start on month 1 month before, it's not possible to do so much, and your body can't handle it, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Just 1 month before, that's when the time when you said hydration is the key, and so is for your skin, because I don't want any of my brides to do any resurfacing lasers or peels, because that's not going to be good for your skin. That's the time where we also choose medifacials to bring up the hydration. I would choose my favorite Korean GG Glow treatment or O2 Derm facial, which is basically for hydration, because more and more your skin is hydrated, it will reflect the light more, and your skin will actually give that glass glow appearance more. So this is the time we as doctors also build up more on hydration rather than, treating any issues, because this is not the time for that. We don't want to do anything new on your skin. We don't want to do anything aggressive, because we don't want anything to be going wrong. So just a month before, work on your hydration inside out, increase your level of water intake, keep taking your drips, work on your medifacials which work on hydration. If you're getting any blackheads and whiteheads, then of course go for a laser which can remove all the whiteheads and blackheads and remove them and clean up your pores. That is important. And just a week before, you can go in for some facials which are very, very popular as red carpet facial. They're called the fire and ice facial. Then there is glow infusion, which just increase the amount of hydration and make your skin reflect the light like a bulb. So choose your treatments and your doctors wisely, and give in time and that attention to your skin. And when it comes to brides, makeup removal is very important. I always suggest them to do triple cleansing, because that will remove their makeup properly. Use oil to remove the makeup. Give a nice massage to your face with the oil. It can be coconut oil, it can be baby oil. Then use micellar water to remove pigment makeup. And third, then you use a foaming face wash. So you have to do all these 3 steps to remove the makeup properly. That there is no shortcut. Don't use wipes. They're very exfoliating and very abrasive on the skin. I don't suggest that. So I got a very interesting question here, Simran, for you, wherein someone was asking, what should the bride be having on her D-Day? So that's a very specific one there. So
So
it's some
it
pointers for that.
depends on it depends on how aggressive you want to be. So, for example, I work with a lot of actresses and people who need, for certain things you need weight manipulation, which becomes water manipulation. You're not actually losing weight, but it's possible. So
Yeah.
it really depends on how you want to do it the week before. But this has to be done with someone who knows what they're doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're doing it on your own, I would say the last week, go up on your water intake, focus on your proteins, your vegetables and fruits. You can reduce your fat to a moderate level and have adequate carbs. I'm not saying to remove it, but adequate. So, just make sure there's lots of fruits and vegetables everywhere. And then maybe one day before and the day of your of the wedding, obviously, and the day before, you're looking at having a lot of fiber, a lot of protein, and maybe that day, only that day, and the day before, you can reduce your carb intake, only because carbohydrates cause water retention. I'm not saying at any point that you don't need carbohydrates, just to get you right. I don't want to be misinterpreted here. But just on a day like this, when you want to make sure you have no water retention, maybe 1 or 2 days before, you can cut down your carb intake. All this does is, it is not changing anything. It is just
It's
water
a quick
retention, but it'll
fix.
give you it's a quick fix. And it's used
Yeah.
by models, it's used by actors, it's used for big shoots. And there's obviously,
Mm-hmm.
water manipulation has a whole week long, very specific protocol. But if you're doing it on your own, just maybe that day and the week before, and if you've been maintaining that food diary, right? By now you should know what causes you bloating, what causes acne, and all those foods should be absolutely eliminated. No matter how much you love them, you have to remove them at least a week before.
Yeah.
So,
What
if
do you
you
mean by
know that
water
every
manipulation? It has caught my attention now, Simran. What does it mean?
it's just a technique to basically reduce all the water. You
Mm-hmm.
basically remove all the water from the body. You force the body to do that by water manipulation, by balancing
Colon
fluids,
cleansing and all
electrolytes,
of that.
sodium,
Yeah.
all that. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's done mostly by athletes and actors just before like a really big event or shoot. When you suddenly
Mm-hmm.
need to get into a size zero, um, it's extremely temporary.
Yeah, of course, because
Extremely,
80% of your
extremely
body is
temporary.
water, so you can
Yeah.
manipulate with
Yeah.
size.
So it's extremely temporary, but it should not be done on your own because there's an actual protocol for it. But that's what I said, it depends on aggressive, but that's a very short term, like a superficial technique, which is used in the industry by, if you're like for athletes going on stage, like for
Yeah,
competing athletes and things like that. But
yeah,
I think the main thing is if you know what aggravates you, what causes you bloating, like the last time you ate pizza and you got bloating, you have to avoid those foods completely for at least a week before, because you don't
right.
want anything, any breakout, you don't want any form of bloating, you don't want any of that. Because if nothing else, you're going to feel funny in your clothes, and then it kind of plays on you mentally and you just don't feel as great. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so just eliminate anything that causes you problem, and this is something that you have to find. It's
So you have
different for
to
everyone.
become more vigilant. You have to self-assess. And as we said, we started talking about food
Yeah,
diary. It's really important. So I had a
yeah.
question here, which is very, important here, which talks about stretch marks during the weight loss. So stretch marks are actually scars. When you are, losing or gaining weight very quickly, your skin is actually getting stretched and getting torn inside. Those are called stretch marks. So how to prevent it? Lose and gain weight slowly and steadily, like Simran has been guiding us. Try and reduce all the sugar and salt intake your diet, because that also helps. Make sure you drink a lot of water so that your fibers are hydrated from inside. Apply a lot of hydrating creams on the top so that your fibers are hydrated and they don't get torn easily. Don't wear tight clothes, because we need good air circulation, blood circulation to happen. These are some things that you can do to avoid stretch marks. Now, once you get
I
stretch
think
marks, they
the
can be of
other,
two types. Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
no,
Prevention,
no,
we
go for
can
it.
talk about.
No, no, finish.
So once you get stretch marks, they can be two types. They can be pink or white. So pink are new stretch marks and white are old. So if they're still pink, you can keep hydrating them. You can visit your doctor. They can suggest you some creams which have retinols. Then there are peels which can help. But when they turn white, they're actually old scars. That is the time more resurfacing deep lasers need to be done. And you need to be regular to your clinic to actually fade away those stretch marks, which are actually very difficult to treat. And only way to treat them is with lasers and peels. So that is what a dermatologist has to say about stretch marks. So let's hear from Simran. What can we do?
Um, I think one of the things the same is that if you're a lot of people don't control how quickly they gain weight. And when you're losing it, if they're already there, you will just see them more because the
Yeah.
skin is deflated now. But the key thing again is to go back and not do any of the fad things that look for quick weight loss, because that itself is a problem. Because any of these diets, they are nutrient deficient because they put you in such a low calorie deficit. And people forget that, I hear people doing 600 calorie, 700 calorie diets, and your brain needs 600 calories to function.
Yeah.
So it makes
Yeah.
zero sense, right? So how will your skin regenerate? So if you're doing it like you said, if you're eating right, if you can actually eat more and get better results if you just know what you're eating and you do it slowly. Now, weight training is a great, like resistance training mixed with cardio is a great way to do this, but do it slowly. That gives you small, consistent weight loss. And of course, like you said, I keep suggesting people that you must put tons of, like I use coconut oil, or you must moisturize like crazy. But apart from that, even your, again, proteins, vegetables, your omega-3, which most Indians don't seem to get enough of because you don't eat that much fish. So that might be a supplement that you want to look into. And then obviously the others, like even vitamin E, because the moment you fix your diet, these things start helping,
Absolutely. Well said.
because
So that
if the skin
was,
is not as elastic, if it's not hydrated, and if you're just not, I think what people forget is when you eat or if you're on a diet, you're feeding all this, right? You're feeding the hair follicles to grow, you're feeding your skin to regenerate. And that is something to keep in mind when you do any form of diet or anything. So analyze that before you start in your 3 month or 2 month or one or whatever it is. Analyze, is this going to help me overall? Will it help me with all my goals? With my skin, with my hair, with my mood, right? My
that's also very
energy, how I,
important.
yeah,
Not
with my
not everyone
mood.
in the house has to go for a mood swing because you're going on a diet. So it's very important to look
Yes.
at it.
Because
Simran, one very
eventually it's all
important
connected.
question for you over here, which I don't want to miss, is someone in the viewers was asking about weight gain. So that's a very different topic here. So
Yeah.
any points for that? I don't want to miss on that question, so
I
I
think
interrupted
weight
you.
gain is actually way more difficult than weight loss when done right, because
Mm-hmm.
you can just eat a ton of food and gain weight, but all you do is gain fat and then you become unhealthy and you pick up all the lifestyle diseases that everyone has today. So weight gain comes down to exactly the same thing. You have to exercise, you have to eat right, but now you're just eating a little bit more than you need because you want to gain. But you want to gain the right parts, right? You want to gain
Yeah,
lean muscle mass. You want to
yeah.
look toned. You want to look fit. You don't want to look fluffy. If you want to, that's up to you. But mostly people want to look toned and fit. And to
Yes,
do that,
yes.
one, it takes a long time. Weight gain, when done right, is extremely slow process. If it is very fast, then it's just putting on weight and becoming like you're just gaining weight, and that's when you get your stretch marks and all that. But if you're eating right and you're exercising, you have to eat slightly more and eat the right things. So that doesn't mean it doesn't give you a free run to say, oh, I'm going to eat a packet of chips and then I'm going to eat cake for lunch. And that's not how it works.
Healthy
It
weight
depends what
gain,
you want.
healthy weight loss is the key word
Healthy
here.
weight gain and healthy weight loss. It's basically weight correction. Whatever you want to look like, that's personal, right? Completely
Absolutely.
personal. But it must be done right without compromising your health in the long term in any way. That is what
Absolutely.
is key, and I think that is what everybody seems to be missing out today, because it's all about now, quick, 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 quick. But what if you have PCOS and you do some random diet off the internet and it aggravates? Then after you get married, then you have conception issues, miscarriages, and you have hirsutism, unwanted hair growth, like so many issues, right? And it can all be prevented if you just focus on, okay, I'm going to do this now, and this is my goal, whatever it is, hair, skin, this is my goal, let's do it. But am I going to compromise my health along the way? If yes, then that's a
Absolutely
problem.
none. Yes.
Yeah.
So
So that is
visualizing your
something to
goals, setting up the right goals, and reaching your goals in a healthy way is the idea. And finding your mentor, be it a nutritionist, your fitness
yeah.
expert, or your
Yeah.
dietitian or your dermatologist, get the right mentor who can help you through it. And that is a good idea to always stick to them till the end, because what if on just before like your D-day, 1 or 2 days before your D-day, you have a zit, and your dermatologist who has been with you would understand your skin better, vis-a-vis a new person who you just shopped for. So similarly, when
Hmm.
your dietitian is working with you and you have a bad acidity attack just before 2 days before your wedding, she would understand what, or she would help you understand what has triggered it. So always form a relationship with the people who are with you and try and have the trust, make a knowledgeable choice, read up about them, talk to them, understand if your ethos matches theirs, and that's where you can get the best results which are long term. So Simran, that was a
Yes.
great chat. Thanks for sharing so
But
much knowledge with
Vika, I
us.
get so many questions, and we should run like a little poll maybe, and maybe we should do one day on maybe hirsutism and
Absolutely.
I get a lot of hirsutism, open pores, acne, and just
Sure.
basic skincare. We should probably.
So much knowledge to share. Let's do it again then very
Yeah,
soon.
maybe we should have, yeah, so maybe we run a poll, and if people, everyone watching and others think that this is useful, then we can do it. Mhm.
Absolutely. Please
Yeah,
drop in your comments so that we know that how
yeah,
did you like it and what more things you would want us to work upon. So thank you,
yeah.
Simran.
And
Thanks for
also, if
joining
you
me.
feel, thank you, I'm sorry to interrupt, but just last, I would like to
Yeah,
tell everyone watching that the reason that I'm saying, and I'm telling you that I come into my space and talk about this to people who follow me or trust me is because I know that this is her scope of work and this is her core competency. And I would never suggest, let's say, a kind of laser or a kind of people because I have no knowledge and it would be unethical of me to do so.
thank you.
So
Thanks for
coming
your
back to
trust.
no matter completely. So no matter what you do, whether you come to us or not, that is fine. But no matter what you do, go to a professional because you'll be in the right hands. So just choose that person, right? And then you are okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do
Yeah.
your
Thank
homework
you so
well,
much, Deepika.
guys. Understand your mentors, understand the technologies used, and never hesitate to ask your doctors what they are doing and why they are doing. We are all happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.